Something very strange has been happening in my apartment. Things mysteriously disappeared and reappeared in my apartment. First, I realized two of my favorite wigs disappeared and then reappeared. Then, some of my clothes also disappeared and then they reappeared again. The scariest one was when I went to work, came back one day only to realize that someone had eaten more than half of my cooked rice on the stove and I completely lost it. Mind you, I live alone, so who or what is responsible for my missing items? I recently moved into a new apartment and from the beginning, everything seemed normal and fine until I realized that some of my flowers in my flower pot sadly disappeared. The landlady and another tenant also lived in the same house, so we were only 3 people living in the house. I decided not to ask my landlady or the other tenants about the missing plants or the missing flowers because I had just moved in at the time and I didn't want to be seen as a difficult tenant in the house already. So I kept my cool. Then one day, I came back from town and realized that the clothes in the wardrobe were not arranged like the way I left them. But I don't really remember losing any of my clothes, so I kept my cool again. The one day, I was going for my friend's wedding, so I decided to wear one of my favorite wigs. But I realized that that particular wig was not in my room. I searched for the wig everywhere in my apartment, but I didn't find the wig. So I tried recollecting if I might have sent it for washing or revamping at the salon, but I didn't really recall taking it to the salon. So I used a different wig and left for the wedding. Then, interestingly, when I came back from the wedding, I saw that the wig was miraculously in the wardrobe. I was so surprised because I don't keep my wigs in my wardrobe. Number 2, I knew and I was so sure that I thoroughly searched for that particular wig everywhere else in the wardrobe and in my apartment, but I couldn't find it. So how did the wig disappear and reappear suddenly in my wardrobe? So I decided not to use that particular wig again because I couldn't explain how it disappeared and reappeared in my wardrobe suddenly. I later even drew the conclusion that there was a spirit in my apartment that was doing all of that, so I began to pray more. The one day, I came back from work and I realized something had happened to my bag of rice. The quantity that I last left it had drastically reduced. This even got me more scared and I was wondering what could have been going on in that apartment. Then I came to a much bigger conclusion that there was indeed a spirit responsible for the disappearance of my things. Then sometimes I will come back from work and I will realize that my cooked rice was touched. So I will end up throwing the rice away because I was afraid that somebody or whoever or whatever might have touched the rice could have poisoned it. Another time, I realized that it was my iron. It went missing for a long time and then suddenly reappeared. At this point, I decided to move out of the apartment because I really couldn't tell what was going on there. But getting a decent apartment of my taste was really difficult. The few ones that I got, I didn't really like the environment, or those that were quite decent, they were very, very, very expensive and they were also not in a very nice environment. So I was forced to continue to stay in that strange apartment while things were missing and while things were disappearing and reappearing mysteriously. Then a few weeks ago, my mobile phone that I was using got spoiled, and so I was without a mobile phone for so many weeks. Then I realized suddenly that I had a mobile phone that I bought a long time ago, but I couldn't access the internet on that particular phone. I remember leaving it somewhere in my drawer for a long time. So I quickly went to open that particular drawer to pick the phone so that I could use it for a while I plan on buying another mobile phone later on. So I went to the room and I searched every corner of my apartment, but I couldn't find the phone. So at this point, I decided to install a camera in the apartment to help me with some answers to my missing items. Of course, I never asked or told the landlady about the strange things that were happening in my apartment, so I went ahead to install the camera in the apartment. And after installing that camera in my apartment for almost 6 months, I don't remember losing anything else in my apartment again. Then one day, I came back from work and I realized that somebody had come to sit or lie down on my bed because it wasn't the same way as I left it before I went for work. So I decided to check the camera and I got the shock of my life. When I checked the camera, I saw that my landlady walked into my apartment. Wow. How did she even get the keys? Because when I moved into the apartment, the first thing that I did was to change all the locks. So how did she manage to get into my apartment in the first place? Then I continued to check the footage. Then I saw that she went to open my wardrobe and put on some of my clothes. Then she put on 2 of my favorite wigs. And then she went ahead to look at herself in the mirror and I guess to check if the wigs looked good on her. Then she proceeded to open my drawers and put on some of my jewelries and later remove them and put them back. Then she opened the last drawers where my phone was, took the phone and quickly put it in her bag. But before she eventually left the apartment, she went to lie down on my bed for about 15 minutes and she finally got up and left. But I realized that something fell out of her bag and went under my bed. So I quickly bent down to check under my bed and to find out what it was. And I found out a bundle of pounds sterling. And when I counted them, it was exactly 5,000 pounds. I took the money and the following day, I went to deposit it into my foreign account. This is where the story got interesting. For more than 3 weeks now, my landlady has been crying about her lost money in the house. Sometimes I could hear her cry over the phone and wailing about the lost amount. 2 weeks ago, I overheard her telling someone over the phone that the money was meant for her son's upkeep and for other things like his books. This son of his happens to be studying in the UK. So far, she has not asked me anything about the money, and I have also not asked her anything about what I have discovered about her activities in my apartment. But since I heard that the money was meant for her son's upkeep, I am beginning to feel guilty for keeping the money that was meant for his son's upkeep, like books and other things in order to keep the boy going in school. Should I open up to her and tell her that I know about what she had been doing in my apartment and then give the money back to her? Or should I just shut my mouth, especially when she had not asked me anything about the money? My only problem right now is that I am scared that if I open up to her and she gets to know that I have discovered what she has been doing in my apartment, out of shame, she can even poison my water or my food, or she can decide to do something bad to me because I am not in the house all the time. The curiosity in me also wants to find out how she managed to get into the apartment since I have not given her spare key to the apartment. What do I do in this situation? Should I keep quiet over this matter or tell her everything that I have discovered about her? Wow, this is insane. Why would the landlady interfere in the life of her tenant like this? This is absolutely wrong. But come to think of it, this also means that this lady is not safe at all in that apartment. And I would advise that the earlier she moved out, the better for her, because she cannot tell when this landlady will do or what she might do next. Guys, what advice do you have for this lady? Do you think she should tell the landlady about the money, or she should just shut her mouth, especially if she is still living or staying in that woman's house? Can you leave your thoughts in the comment section? And please do well to watch my other videos and kindly subscribe to the channel for more stories. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. It's bye.